Are we really all going to muff if once more? After the package which President Nixon brought down from his mountain rallies at Camp Davis last weekend, it seems reasonable to hope that the world economy event could fortunately never be quite the same again. By a combination of present good luck and past bad management, the President has reached what was broadly the right to make strategic decision. But his main internal decision to reflect consumer demand behind the shelter of an incoming policy may still be read negatively by the tactic internets of the sort of reflection and income policy which he appeared to be essaying, and his main extreme decision to float the exchange rate of the dollar provided a golden opportunity to the British and other governments. But right up to Thursday evening, the British government, in particular, was giving various signs of mishandling it. The resemble of the cabinet in London on Monday evening, dragging ministers back straight from their holiday beaches in bewilderment and without any adequate briefing, meant that the British executive decision would be taken by the wrong man in the wrong circumstances. The key British interest at this moment has to be to throw as many of the problems as possible into settlement by open market solution, and to do our ultimate to keep down the number of conferences in which international politicians will seek to throw up angry protectionist reactions without relying know what they were talking about. But there was apparently no agency plan prepared in Whitehall against the eventuality of dollar inconvertibility, and so nobody has told the cabinet that. Ms. Hayes and Mr. Barrett are calling one for a policy of dither, calling it one of waiting for discussion. Later, as the discussion and the protectors disagree naturally center on Brussels, to which Miss Bell has been allowed to invite himself on Thursday. Ross said that this showed that Britain was acting as a good European. This is a total misunderstanding. The ultimate universal story of the past week has been whatever economy forces has been working. They has been pulling in the right direction, and whether politician has been meeting, they have been trying to divert them into wrong direction. In an atmosphere of muddy, a great opportunity is liable to be missed. Admittedly, the first charge must be laid against the decision-making process in the richest country of all. President Nixon's new economic policy has been compiled together principally as part of his election campaign. As long as his eyes on target rates to which he hoped that American unemployment inflation would have fallen by middle of the presidential election year of 1972. But the forecast coming to him in early August was grimly united in saying that he would not hit them. Debate has been raging for time in the White House between micro-bearing advocates of waiting for something in the economy to turn up and active advocates of facial reflection plus an incoming policy. Last week's cover story in Time showed that millions of readers, battle of the economy, stand par or do something. Ms. Nixon policy attorney then told him that he has better do quite a lot. The reflectionary part of his package, which he called his measures to achieve full employment, consists of 6.2 billion in relief on income tax, investment tax, and automobile tax, but with a strange obstinance to old Republican ghost by promising that it were more than made in the fiscal year 1972 by 2 billion of new revenue from the import surcharge and 4.5 billion of cuts in presently planned government expenditures. The last absentee has drawn the apt comment from Dr. Paul Samuel. If he cut expenditure by that amount to unmax tax cuts, that would create one extra job. I hope the president achievable is wrong. In practice, every bill not the president's achievable deliberately is wrong. Some of the cost expenditure and the deferral which was affect spending in fiscal year as a whole, but not the annual rate expenditure during most of the fiscal year. Others are cut in planned program that Congress would not have allowed him anyway, or even they were not really meant to take place. There is say saying of economic illiteracy that normal and sensible Keynesian policy has to be cloaked beneath this sort of subcharge. During the past week, the excuse given for Britain's dithering has been that we must show we are good European now, even if Mr. Rupert has still been engaged in horse trading about terms in terms of having agreed the terms in principle last June. There has been a total misunderstanding of what a good Europeanist means. There are two parts of the present EEC system that will be damaged by more fewer market focus in exchange rate. Not unnaturally, there are the two parts of the system that are most opposed to economic and market force already, namely attempts to keep fixed and further breed prices for most agricultural produce, and the attempts to establish regularly fixed prices for currencies. Equally naturally, there are two policies that would do most damage to Britain within the EEC, and indeed threaten most damage to every nation prosperity there. A time when outside events are again causing these two ideological policies to crack under their own inconsistencies. It should be no part of Britain function as a good European to say that we must hold urgent discussion with the protectionists on how they can be given the breathing space to repair this crumbling road for our back. Worse, one of the reasons why that is some remaining friends. I've been saying fewer than 2 decades ago, Britain is still supposed to pose special IQ and the inherited institution capacity for leadership. One of these remaining fields, until last Sunday midnight, was supposed to be international financial affair. Next week we shall try to win it back. On other pages, how the Nixon administration came to take the decision and how Washington's politicians and the union took the news. Page 39 to 43. With what happened now in Europe, Japan, South Africa, and elsewhere, and who's hit the British industry. In particular, page 53 to 62, how the stock market moved. Page 72 to 75.